So without any further ado, we'll let Superintendent take over. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank all of you for coming. This is a very, very important issue. If students aren't in school, we can't teach them, and what we're all about is helping schools raise academic results. I want to thank Sheriff Jerry Sheridan for serving as a resource for parents in school districts to deal with absenteeism, and for being here to speak as part of this news conference. And I want to thank Craig Musey for being here. He's with the Deyart School District that has a terrific program to fight absenteeism, which I will be talking about and which he will be talking about. The Helios Foundation says that 30% 18 days or more. Now there was something in this morning's paper about 25%, which came from our department, but that dealt with elementary only. The figure for all students is 30%, and even if it were 25%, it would be a catastrophe. I mean, pre-COVID, it was 9%. We cannot teach, and our main goal, 90% of my time and effort, and that the schools increase their academic results, but you just can't do that with kids who aren't there. I've read a number of reports who have come up with what I would call soft solutions, like calling parents and that sort of thing. But my suggestion has been one that would deal more with the motivation of parents, because parents are students coming to school, and they got in the habit during COVID of not caring as much as they should. So my solution is to bring back the old method, which is and you don't get credit for the course. And parents want their kids to graduate on time. They don't want them to flunk courses. And this would be a great Mr. Musey will talk about that program, which they have at Deyart, where people don't get credit if they have too many absences. And also, Deyart has a close relationship with the Surprise and El Mirage police departments, which is a big part of our point here today, that the police have a very important role to play. Sheriff Sheridan will talk about law enforcement's contribution to the problem, and the fact that all police officers have the same powers as truant officers. So we urge them to, if they see a student at a corner that should be in school, to inquire, to be active. And we are urging city attorneys to give high priority when they get citations. We've had some complaints from teachers that the truant officer files a complaint, and the city attorney either takes too long or doesn't get to it. And we think it's important that they follow through. Students can only learn by being in class, and solving this problem requires an all-out effort by parents, school administrators, law enforcement, and city attorneys. So I'm going to call now on Sheriff Jerry Sheridan. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Superintendent. Well, hello, everybody. A lot of cameras here. That's great. So, I'm Jerry Sheridan. I'm your Maricopa County Sheriff. The county covers 9,224 square miles, 4.6 million people, and there's a lot of kids in there, and a lot of kids aren't going to school. Children are the future of our nation. They're our future leaders, our future sheriffs, law enforcement officers, attorneys, judges, maybe even a president of the United States. But you know what? We cannot be successful if we don't make sure our kids get the best education possible. And that's why I'm very happy to work here with Superintendent Tom Horne and others in the education side of things. So it's not safe for kids to be out of school. You know, I spent 15 years in a patrol car, and it was my experience that the same kids that are walking around the streets at 2 o'clock in the morning are the same kids that are walking around the streets at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And we need to take care of those kids, get them back into school, get them motivated so they can be successful. Getting a proper education, like I said, is so important to the future, not only their future, but the future of this country. Our first objective will be to determine if parents need help in ensuring their kids go to school. Now, some of those kids are what we might say a little incorrigible, a little bit difficult to deal with, and again, from my law enforcement experience, there's a lot of single moms out there that have trouble dealing with their children and giving the discipline they need to get them to go to school and stay off the street. So we're always there as a resource to counsel these people to get their kids back, and that's that important, that law enforcement should be involved in this. Not just from a point of view of enforcing the law, the misdemeanor that's there with truancy, but also to make sure that the kids get some kind of help that they need. If parents refuse to have their kids attend school, that's also a crime. And so law enforcement's primary duty is to keep people safe, but I would say a close second is to make sure our kids are safe and in school. So it's a travesty that 1/3 of our students here in Maricopa County in Arizona miss 18 days of school. 1/3. That's despicable. We need to make sure we fix that. And myself as the sheriff and our other law enforcement partners will do what we can to help out these kids. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff. We appreciate your participation. And I'm going to call on Craig Musey to talk about the Deyart solution, which we hope will be a model for all districts and charter schools.
Thank you, and I want to first thank Superintendent Tom Horne for having us here today. And it's a value in Deyart District. Our governing board in the Deyart District, along with our superintendent, Dr. Croto, believe very strongly that the #1 means to success for our students is that they need to be in class every day. Consistent attendance is going to be the key to what their academic achievement is going to look like and how they're going to grow academically as students. When we have parents and families that are struggling with attendance, it's our job also to work with them and come up with solutions to get their kids to be at school, and we are always committed to doing those things as well. Part of that solution is working with law enforcement, which I will mention as well as part of this, because that's an important piece. We have a relationship with both the Surprise Police Department and the El Mirage Police Department. We appreciate the supports of Sheriff Sheridan. We work also with Maricopa County Sheriff's Office out there as well in our area. So we have a lot of work with our law enforcement, and they're willing to visit homes and also, as necessary, write citations as needed. But that's a partnership so that we're on the same page and working with those families. But it's important to mention, though, that some of those immediate things that we do to ensure that absentee is at a low. Our absentee rate in the Deyart District at this current time is at 7%, meaning that we have every school is over 90%, and our average attendance rate at all of our schools in our district is at 93% throughout the district. Some of those reasons for success are what Superintendent Horne mentioned. We do have a practice in place at our high schools that when a child accumulates past those 9 absences, that can result in a loss of credit. You're going to lose, but that's only way to understand that you need to be in school as well. Along with that, we make sure that we're educating, and it's a positive approach as well. So we do have a communication system where parents are being notified immediately when their kid's out of class, that they're being notified, and that's happening. There's phone calls, and there's also a letter. And part of that is educating them the accumulation of absences, how that's going to affect their child. We also have competitions within the district that take place. To have a reward system for schools that they can have celebrations and recognition, and the schools themselves do grade level competitions. But I think the most important part that we're hearing today, and that we appreciate the support of Superintendent Horne's office, is the aspect of, we believe attendance is the critical aspect for our students to be successful. And that's why we do enforce that area of, you can lose credit on that in that way if you do not come to school. And if you're in the K-8 model and you cannot come to school as well, and there's that same a large number of absences, you can be retained and not move up in grade level. So those are important pieces. I do want to mention the other person that was with me today, Kevin Kashat, who works as our Director of Student Services. He works closely in educating and working with our administrators on how to enforce that, how to have those conversations, and making sure that's carried out with staff members so they feel supported and teachers know they have that support. So just wanted to give you that that aspect, and we appreciate the support of both those police departments in our area and what they do as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for participating, and thank you, Craig, also for being happy to take your questions.
To the superintendent.
Yes.
So 7% is incredible.
Yes.
Is that for the entire year or this semester?
That right now, that
Here,
current.
please, step to the microphone.
Sorry. Yes, that would help, wouldn't it? That 7% is off of the numbers that are right now. So as we've got the third quarter in the year, last year it was about the same number. It was around 92.5%. If you go back, because of the pandemic, you'll see those numbers go down. Right, but we saw when Dr. Croto took over, we saw an increase over those last 2 years where it went from our schools, some of our schools that were in the 80s, they're all over 90% now because of the practices we put in place.
Okay, so but the chronic absenteeism rate, you're saying, is 7%.
That is correct.
Okay.
No, it's total attendance.
Total attendance rate.
Chronic absenteeism would be those kids over 10%, so we probably wouldn't have that data right now.
Yeah, the chronic absenteeism, you're talking about, yes, total absenteeism is 7%. Chronic absenteeism of those students, that's going to be much smaller, but it's a part of that 7%.
Okay, so are we talking apples to apples then?
Yes.
When you say Helios reports 29%, 30% of absenteeism rate, you're saying yours, apples to apples, is 7%?
That is correct.
Okay. And is there any other specific kind of secret here? I mean, it seems like all superintendents should know. Is there to be used? Effort? Very specific.
Absolutely. There's a couple of things that go into play there. We have a student information system that does track daily, so we're able to, but one of those big pieces is that we do we have regular letters of communication. A system called Parent Square, and we're making sure the communication is happening so that parents are understanding too, and there was a lot of training on that, is making sure that parents understand that they're checking their child's absence as well. It's an accountability effort. When you talk about, I don't know if it's a secret sauce as much as it's an accountability effort that we're making sure that it's a partnership with our parents and understanding. So we have to communicate with them and not allow the attendance to continue in that manner. And when it's too much of it, when it becomes a crime, that's where we brought in the partnerships with law enforcement to
Canceled positions for 30. sending officers to families. They could even issue citations. This was a few years ago. Do you know if that program still exists?
I don't, but we'll find out and let you know. Also, let me see if I understand. The 7% is total absence, but the excessive absences of 18 would be even lower than that? Is that what you were saying?
That's correct.
Okay, so if you do apples to apples, the number of 29% is excessive absences, so their rate would be even less than 7%. We'll ask them to get us that number, and I'll provide that number to everybody as well. They're tremendously successful, and my analysis is the big thing is there are consequences for parents not to get their kids to school because the parents want their kids to graduate on time. And I feel like our society has gotten away from consequences, and I'm pushing to bring discipline back to our schools. We have too little discipline in our schools for students to learn properly, and there have to be consequences for misbehavior, and similarly there have to be consequences for absenteeism. That will motivate parents. They want their kids to graduate on time, and I think that's a key to this.
And the sheriff, I know you're new in your position, but do you know if any citations have been issued this year by deputies, right, for this issue, whether to families or to the kids themselves? And historically, like when you were at the office previously, do you know if that was something that deputies ever did?
Joe, I'm not aware of any citations this year, and it was a very rare occurrence back in the day. It wasn't really a priority, and I think that's what's great about Superintendent Horne making this a priority for the kids. And the problem has got so out of hand that it is really a crisis for the future of these kids.
Do you foresee yourself now writing citations the rest of this year? Is that going to be a part of
Me personally? No. But yes, because, but again, these are the cases that linger on. The kids don't respond to counseling, to guidance, to their parents, and so yes, I could see as a last ditch effort to get the attention of the kids and the parents that we should take some enforcement action. People need to be responsible for their actions or inaction in this case, and whether that's the parent or the child, we need to hold people accountable.
We're talking about a very widespread problem when we say 30%. So are you saying, saying last resort, is that, okay, we might write 5 of those this year, or are you saying we're going to start writing thousands of these things?
I don't know, because don't forget, there's 22 municipal law enforcement agencies in the valley here, and the sheriff's office is just one of those. And so an education for local law enforcement, for the chiefs to get to make it a priority. But we also have, and under the program of Superintendent Horne, is the hiring of off-duty officers and deputies. They would play a key role in helping us do this because, let's face it, law enforcement in the valley is shorthanded, and plus add this to the other thing is most of the, the children day shift, which is our I think there'll be enough to make this a priority.
First of all, as far as police officers in the schools, I've been a big advocate of this, and since we took office 2 years ago, we to 565. So we've had a big effect on getting better protection from the schools. So go ahead, please.
Will they be a part of enforcing this then? The truancy?
Yes, we hope so, and also, we appreciate the sheriff's participation, but part of the purpose of this press conference is to urge all police, they all have the same powers as truant officers, urge them to get more active in this area because it's a major issue.
There's an assumption here in everything that's been said that if you've been absent for 18 days or more, that there's a problem with
academics.
Well, the problem with the family, the parents aren't doing it, kids aren't doing it. I know that as this issue's become clearer the last few months, we've been talking about it, there's a lot of parents saying, my kids, in a post-COVID world, my kids are sick and I don't want to see much more aware of being sick, things like that. Schools are also cracking down a lot more on how sick your kid can be at school. So is there a concern here that we're talking about good parents, good kids that are doing this, that are just having a tough couple of months with?
Well, we're talking about unexcused absences. So if the student is really sick and the parent calls it in, also, I think that it's really the parents before COVID to school and make them go to school if they don't.
Is that just for unexcused absences? So if a parent calls in sick, how does it work?
Yeah. The way we do treat, because anytime you're absent, anytime you're not in class, whether it's excused or unexcused, you're still missing learning, right? To it. But an unexcused absence, obviously, that's the ones that we were concerned with. When you talk about we still are going to, when you get past that 10th absence, and work with that family on those issues. I will tell you in the post, we have said, I don't want to that piece, but we're telling families it's time to send your kids to school. I mean, you need to be here. We can't teach you if you're not here. And putting kids on a computer and asking them to learn that way has been the majority. We're not going to put that as a solution. One avenue that we do have in the Deyart school is still an expectation as well. Amendments that are used primarily for kids that are trying to either get ahead or there's a problem there. But we are going to make sure that working with those families, to your question, we're going to provide those. We're going to find those.
Day. That could be a sick day, unexcused. That's 9, not days.
That is because we have to make sure, because there's going to be a reason why they're falling behind on their academics then. Either whether I'm asking for a medical reason or not, but we do take that into consideration. And there are situations where a game plan, we put together an academic plan, and you still have to follow that plan.
On the school board, if we had someone with a home with work for them to do and to work with them.
And just one technical question. They had 38%, okay, but they had a 92% daily attendance rate. And so I just want to make sure that it is. I'm wondering if you can follow up with us.
Yeah, I will follow up. I believe the apples to apples comparison will be less than 7% on chronic absenteeism. Yeah.
The Helios.
Yeah.
Well, I know law enforcement is always welcome. Law enforcement is over. It talks about the importance of building relationships with school staff and the teacher counselor to student ratio in
Right now, I want to get what we can get for the teachers. We're losing more teachers than are coming into the classroom. If we don't take, I told the legislature, we don't take strong action, we could end up with 0 teachers. You can imagine how the public would react to that. We had questions over here.
Yeah, do you feel like this is an efficient and, what is the other word I was looking for? An efficient to do this and the courts when we have Sheridan also kind of mentioned that as well, but also bogging down the courts with this stuff as well.
Well, as we speak, we're lobbying the legislature to let retired officers come back without taking required of most public. So you're welcome to help us with that bill.
A possibility that some of the students, maybe immigration status, that maybe they're afraid, that maybe they're not coming back. So do you think maybe that's some of the fear?
I issued some press releases on that and got a lot of coverage, actually. The acting head of Homeland Security said he would send people into schools to see if there's anybody we're after that's hiding there. He didn't say. And the Mexican consul told me he's in close touch with ICE, and they said they have no intention of doing that.
What is your message for parents then?
The message for parents: send your kids to school. They need an education. They should react to something that had to do with somebody hiding in the school rather than harassing kids.
Superintendent, of chronic absenteeism to include students who move schools. Is that something you'd get behind?
To change it to what? I'm sorry?
To include students who have moved.
Anybody else?
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Outside of issuing citations, what role do you see law enforcement or school resources?
For